Peter, good evening. Thanks very much for your time. You're not asking anyone to choose between education and the publishing industry, are you?
Good evening, Vuyo, and thank you for the invitation. No, that's certainly not the case. When we look at education and publishing, we see them as, symbiotic, living in that same relationship. But the key thing here is when we talk about the Copyright Amendment Bill, it is really about the impact that it will have, not just on the publishing industry, but on the broader economic growth of South Africa.
But then, you get an opportunity to make inputs, to persuade, legislators to actually see your point of view as well, don't you?
Yes, we do. And unfortunately, our efforts up until now have been extreme in the sense that we have tried our best to speak with government, who we see still and have always seen them as a good relationship partner that we have with them. And we've been trying our best to get our comments over. And this particular bill has gone through various phases of redrafting and through the various houses in Parliament. But unfortunately, the bill is still in its current position where it is now.
But this is not a question of you not accepting the fact that while they listened to your case, they are not really prepared to barge on the points that you would like them to.
Correct, and those key points are really, if one looks at the history behind how this bill came to being, our copyright law in South Africa is quite outdated, so it dates back to 1978. And over the past few years, and we've agreed with that there has to be a process in which the copyright legislation is reformed, and that there's certain protections that need to be in place. However, what this bill does, it goes beyond that. So there's a number of things that this bill tries to do which is not in the interests of people such as authors, such as learners, such as students, and even the broader society as a whole. So some of the things that this bill actually does do, just as an overview, is that the author's rights to earn royalties on the resale of products is taken away. The duration of copyright is reduced in half from 50 years to 25 years. There are certain provisions in this bill that are going to be retrospective. And I think the key thing that this bill does is it introduces the doctrine of fair use, where it allows people, like educational institutions, for example, to really go and take copyrighted material from various publications, putting them together and actually, without asking for permission and without paying for it, and without acknowledging the authors of those works, to then make it available free of charge to people in the domain.
So at the end of the day, or the bottom line, or the nub of your argument, perhaps one should say, is that you're going to make less money, not as the industry, together with authors, of course.
I would not agree with that, and the reason why I say so is that this is not a bill that is introduced specifically to, I think, address, where there is an overextension of spend in various parts of the society. I think the key thing here is that if we look at things and the effect that this bill will have on things like as the retaining of knowledge within South Africa, we will see that that will diminish over time, because what will happen is that content will become outdated and there won't be people to actually update that content. So what we will be seeing is that content from outside of South Africa will be coming into our curriculums again. And as a result of that, we're going to be sitting with the colonization of our books and of our education system again. So no, it's not about loss of money and that type of thing. What it does also do, though, is that it does impact the economy of the country. So where we're sitting at the moment with an unemployment rate of just over 27%, we're looking at potentially 30% loss of jobs in the industry. A survey assessment was commissioned, an economic impact assessment was commissioned, wherein these things were pointed out. And they are concerning to us, not so much just as Pearson, but I think as the broader industry, but as the broader country as well.
In one sentence, if you had an opportunity to amend the bill as it stands, what would you want it to say?
It's a very good question, because the bill is quite complex, and as a result of that, it is very difficult to limit oneself to one sentence. But since I've only been given that opportunity, let me try. I think the key thing would be really about addressing the implications of the regulating of the fair use principle. I think that would be a key thing that we need to address in a potential redraft of the bill.
That's where we're going to leave it for tonight. Thanks very much for talking to us this evening, Peter Wasserfall, who is the General Counsel at Pearson, South Africa.